Love will make you do wrong. Love will make you do right. I'm a Memphis boy, born and raised. Memphis soul and blues is deep, deep in my heart. And probably for a lot of you Dallasites, you might not know what I just did. That is, I referenced the Reverend Al Green and the opening to Love and Happiness, one of the great soul classics, one of those that you probably don't recognize when I say it as, well, white as I just did. And that's okay. And you really probably don't recognize it unless the Hammond organ sort of pops in with the nice little soul line that happens after. But the message is still the same. Either way, love will make you do wrong, love will make you do right. Now let me be clear, I love all of that music. I can sing it, I can talk about it, I can engage it in 100 different ways, dance to it, born and raised on it. But I don't tend to be that kind of guy who likes to watch all the romantic movies and hang out and do all that other kind of stuff. I am much more of a Quentin Tarantino guy than a Nora Ephron kind of guy. I mean, Titanic and When Harry Met Sally and all those are fine, but I really probably am not going to watch most of those movies. A good indication is the fact that the only ones I can think of are about 20 plus years old. The love stories, for me, they just get a little bit, well, boring because they all sort of follow that same model. Boy meets girl, boy does something stupid, gets misunderstood or misunderstands, boy loses girl, then has to have a big act, has to do something huge to prove that he loves the girl to get her back. It's the same every time, and I just sort of go, okay, here we go. Here's the story. My wife likes them, and I get pulled in, but I'm not usually going to make that choice. Love will make you do wrong. Love will make you do right. So to really understand the story of Mary and Joseph, especially in Matthew's telling, the one that we have today, we have to go back to the first half of the chapter. It's amazingly boring, actually. It's amazingly dull. Those first verses are the genealogy of Jesus. It is 18 verses or so of begats. The least favorite part of anyone reading and hearing the story. And it starts with Abraham, the father of the covenant, begat Isaac, begat Jacob, begat Judah, begat, and so on and so forth. 42 names are listed in the genealogy of Jesus. 42 men at least, and then there are 4 that don't ever tend to show up. That is, there are 4 women who show up in the story of Jesus. 4 women that are told in that story that Al Green would love. They are women who did wrong and did right for love. You have Tamar, who wanted a child and did anything and everything she could to get that child. This is a family service. I'm not actually going to tell you the story of Tamar. It's that kind of crazy story. Go back and read the first few chapters of Genesis. Look it up. It's a heck of a tale. Then we have the story shortly thereafter of Bathsheba, a woman who decided to take a bath on the roof to get the king to notice her. Not exactly your regular story. She does everything she can for the king to fall in love with her, and he does, and they have a child, Solomon, who comes king. It's a fascinating tale, again, of a strong woman doing everything she can to get what she wants and needs. We also have the story of Ruth, another story of a woman who actually is not even supposed to be in the lineage. She is a Moabite, and that is a woman who is unclean to the 10th generation. If you have, what is that, 178th or 152nd of Moabite in your blood, you're not supposed to marry someone from Israel. Yet she becomes the grandmother of King David because she chooses love. She chooses to love a man and do anything she can to get him to be part of her life. We hear those 3 names in this genealogy. We hear those 3 names of powerful, strong, uncompromising women who choose to do both wrong and right to make things work. And then Mary shows up in the narrative. And if you were a first century Jew, and really if you're a 21st century Christian, you should do the same thing, and that is, there are three women who made choices that were hard, that were difficult, that seemingly crazy, and now there's a woman who showed up, so I'm guessing she's probably going to be literally in the lineage and one of the same. Someone willing to do things that seem more than a little bit kooky, like have God's child. Now we skip over the hard part of this. This is the season where we tend to just say, oh, it's Christmas and it's babies and it's beautiful and it's lovely. What we skip over is that whole unwed pregnant mother thing. We skip over the fact that in the ancient culture, and even to a certain degree still in modern culture, but certainly in ancient culture, it was enormously shameful to have a child out of wedlock, to have a child that was unexpected, a child, well, that caused trouble. We can read contextually that Mary and Joseph had to put up with a whole heck of a lot to do what they did. Today's little reading, and it's only 7 verses. Here is the birth of Jesus Christ, so the first one doesn't count. But the rest of that story is literally about Joseph, about a guy who's in a really tough spot. His girlfriend shows up pregnant and he ain't the daddy. And he has a choice. He can say, let's just send her away. We can expose this fact and subject her to ridicule, have her thrown out of the village, or I can just sort of have her sent off to a cousin somewhere to have the baby and just forget about her. Both are acceptable in the ancient world. Both are acceptable in the modern world. And Joseph basically decides, I'm just going to send her away, it'll be okay, but I'm not going to deal with this. And that's where the love story comes in. The true love story, the one that's not all like, well, not pretty and big like those movie love stories. This is the reality of love story. It's called sacrifice. It's not the big romantic gesture as much as the daily hard work of love. Joseph has a dream, and he sees an angel, and the angel says, don't worry. Your wife is pregnant, but it's with God's baby, everything will be okay. You should marry her. You should name him Jesus. All will be well. And the amazing thing is Joseph wakes up and says, yes. Love will make you do wrong. Love will make you do right. Here, we skip the hardest part of the story. We just sort of glaze over it. Joseph, out of pure love, whether it's for God or Mary or both, makes one of the most amazing choices that I bet 90% of the men in this room would say, I don't think so. That is, my wife, my girlfriend shows up with someone else's baby, and I'm going to love them both through it. I'm going to love them both through this ridiculously hard series of events. I'm going to love them both even though I am going to be made fun of. I'm going to love them both even though she's going to be made fun of. I'm going to love them both even though the baby will forever harbor a name, terrible name. Love will make you do wrong. Love will make you do right. The point of this love story is that God comes near and loves us and helps us each step of the way. That's part of it, but the part that we just glaze over so quickly is that Joseph agrees and Mary with him. Both of them agree to do something incredibly hard for love. People want those love stories, those romantic tales, to be about the big gesture. But let's be honest, the most honest and powerful part of love is the really boring stuff. If someone's willing to wash your underwear and fold it and put it back up, that's a whole lot of love. It ain't big, it ain't crazy, it's not moving, but it's love. If someone's willing to cook dinner, if someone's willing to cut the grass, if someone's willing to make the sacrifices of their time, to pour out their very life on you, on each other, that is the true measure of love. It's what we celebrate this season. It's not the big, huge gesture. It's not even necessarily manger scenes, which we have a lovely one. What it really comes down to is willing to do everything you have, and then you don't even really think about it. It's not even something you get all that worried or upset about. It's just what you do. It's just what you do. You pour out your life on each other with daily acts of little things, tiny things that you both take for granted until they aren't there a lot of times, sadly enough, until you don't have them right next to you. The great love story of God is the same for us, God doing more than we can ask or imagine, and we just take it for granted and keep walking. Oh well. Love will make you do wrong. Love will make you do right. The chorus for that song is love and happiness. Love and happiness. And Al sings basically about just the same kind of thing. Love pulls you in and it gives you happiness at the end of the day because you have poured out your life on each other. You have found a way to express God's love to each other through the little things. As we begin to hear the story again of that first Christmas, listen with open ears, not to the big stuff, but to the little things that everyone does for each other. The little things that you all do for each other. And find that God is indeed in the actions. God is present in the love. And yeah, that God will invite you to do right and to do wrong a little bit along the way, but He'll be there with you in love. Amen.